I refer to him as Uche, Principal Uche, and he will pronounce his last name properly. But I have to tell you, the first time I met Uche was just in Nyack, and this was for the NYSAWA and IEI, Leaders of Color, and I left there so impressed. Shout out to Mike Rattaco, Director of Technology from Portchester School District, for being here. And I said, Mr. Rattaco, you have to meet two people. You've got to meet Brett Roer, and you definitely have to meet Uche, because they're doing amazing things. So again, we try to surround ourselves with the people who are going to lift us. And this is a man who is everything about AI. And I just want to be in the room that he's in and follow where he's going. So here we go. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. So my full name is actually Uche Njoku. So, in short, I am West African from Nigeria, immigrant child, got here in '82. It was crazy in Los Angeles, so my mom sent us back to Nigeria, and came back in '88. Inglewood, California, got here in middle school, Inglewood High School. So that's who I am. I am a principal in District 7 of South Bronx, my third school, and Brett, where are you? Bro, you was having crime. I'll tell you right now. Dyslexic, ADHD, like you can't believe. And I'm not trying to say I'm going through what you're suffering through, but I didn't speak for the better part of my childhood. I had a chronic stutter, and coming to America, new country, new spaces, and this is the 80s. So it wasn't cool to be African back then. Now you got, African pop, African boy. But back then, you were an African booty scratcher. That's what it was. So as a child coming to this country and just not knowing how to navigate and not being in a safe space, I fell into myself. I was very quiet. And then I did grow up in the most safe environment. My father, God rest his soul, went through a hard time through the transition of coming to America. Highly educated, spoke 9 languages. I was mopping floors at Jack in the Box, if you know anything about California. And so that was my growing up. Luckily, I had teachers who saw something in me. I was given an IEP. Listen, Nigeria's national language is English, but I was put into ESL classroom because I wasn't speaking, so they couldn't figure out whether I could speak the language or not. So that was my journey. But luckily enough, over the course of my life, teachers have had a huge impact on who I became. The gentleman from who just spoke, my father was like, you will become a doctor. I went to University of Rochester, majored in biomedical engineering pre-med, and that's not what ended up happening for me. I ended up, by my, this would have been like my junior year, all this credits to be an engineer. I was like, I know that's not what I want to do. So I took that I had an art elective in film, and I was hooked. I went home to my father and changed my major. He cursed the day I was born. Literally. He cursed the day I was born. It turned into a physical altercation, for real. And from there I was kind of like, okay, I guess I own my life now, because if you curse the day I was born, so my dad, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I found my way into education 20 years ago. I moved from Los Angeles, California to the Bronx as a New York City teaching fellow. I was going to do 2 years, then head off to law school. I'm still here. And the thing that's interesting is that everyone pushed me towards leadership. And luckily enough, Comm Fellows, and I was a Comm Ally, and all these different things gave me a tool bag to be successful as a school leader. I started my career as part of the turnaround team at my first school as an AP. Then my next 2 schools, District 12 and MS318. It was a turnaround situation. It was at that point in time the most violent middle school in the Bronx. Then we did the work there, flipped that school in 3 years. Then I went over to John Jay in Portsmouth, Brooklyn. Did some work there. It was that if anyone knows about that campus, the most segregated campus in New York City. And you already know New York City is the most segregated school system in the country. So it was like a double whammy in that school, did that work. Then I decided to leave. I was burnt out. pandemic, I went through the pandemic. I lost teachers, I lost a student. One of my first students was murdered, got shot in the head in Brooklyn. And I was like, you know what? I need a break. I was not connected. My ADHD brain with dyslexia went over. I couldn't even focus. So I walked away. And if anyone knows me, I did a letter on LinkedIn that time that went viral about while I was walking away. And I thought I was done. I was like, the DOE's not gonna have me come back because I spilled all the beans and all the secrets. And my superintendent, Dr. Roberto Padilla, called me and said, hey, Uche, I don't know if you're really done. I have a school for you. And that school is MS224. And that was April of 2023, May 1st of 2022 was my first day in the school. And it was the lowest performing middle school in the South Bronx. 5% proficiency in math. When I say the first day I walked in there was 2 fights. The next couple of days was just fights. The 5th or 6th day, a teacher walked into another teacher's classroom and squared up. I was like, no. And so it's funny because then Dr. Padilla tells me, this school is probably going to be closed down. It's already on the closure list. And if it doesn't work out, trust me, I got something else for you to do, but let's see what we can do here. And any principals in the room, the nightmare scenario is you're closing school down. That's not what we do. To be told your school's closing down, so mind you, I'm walking into a situation where I'm told the school is already on the closure list. So what did I do? 2023, actually 2022, end of 22, I heard about this thing called ChatGPT. And anyone who knows me, I am a tech nerd. Listen, you come in my office during the day, I have an acquisition program. It's like, what's that movie with Tom Cruise?
Minority Report?
Yes, I have things doing this in my room. The kids think it's normal now. That's who I am. The camera, I'm always recording myself. A little piece of my childhood, I found safety behind the camera. Which was funny because when I got to college, I found film I made the film as a major. I love seeing the world through lenses, which allows me to see the world through the eyes of my kids. And okay, I found ChatGPT, and I was like, listen, I'm taking over this school, and I've been playing with this for about 6 months, so I'm gonna do something. I told Dr. Padilla, I need access to any piece of data I can find about this particular school. And he said, here's an office space, or before you start, you can access any of the members of the team. So my office was just papers everywhere. I was taking pictures, digitizing everything. You know what I did? I threw in ChatGPT. I said, this is the school I'm going to. This is my background. I started having that conversation and spit out a pretty interesting synopsis of what I was walking into. I thought, okay. Now, what are the pain points? It told me attendance, proficiency in math, ELA was that much better, and teacher turnover based on the data I gave it. So I thought, okay. Give me 3 options of pathways I could take towards turning the school around. Pause real quick. How much would that cost me to do that with consulting? Mind you, I didn't have a budget yet. I haven't started yet. I haven't started to go, so I'm doing this with this, and gave me a scenario. So I was like, okay, based on this scenario. And what's funny is one of the things it told me was that, harnessing my background in technology in this school as a way to hook kids. I'm like, wait a minute, I could have thought about that. Okay, fine. And I said to it, I need a 30, 90, 60, and 120-day plan. And if you don't believe me, I Dr. Padilla, I actually did that to him. And I actually did a YouTube video after that about that process. And that plan's dressed up too. And over the course of the past 2 years, there is not a single, I probably have thousands of conversations, individual conversations in ChatGPT. But I love what you said. The fact that being able to log your story in there and it knows. To the point now, I can ask, I won't do it for the sake of time. Tell me who Uche L and Njoku is. I've done it several times because I think it's hilarious. Oh. It gives me my whole entire bio. And it updates it. Now it says, and which I think, I cringe, expert in AI. I am not an expert in AI at all. I'm just an addict. I use it every day. No, that's what it is. I can't write code. I don't program. But you know what I do? I am a hell of a prompt engineer.
Yeah.
That's what I perfected. So now, what I do in my school is anything that we're doing. Listen, my CEP right now, if you know what CEP is so gangster. Because me and my team, we sat down and said, here are all the issues we're having, and we keep processing it through, and it keeps on refining it. And I'm like, I think we can do this next year. We can measure. Hey, ChatGPT, how do we measure this over the course? And it's giving us that information. I'm saying all this because there is this fear. I'm not a policy guy. I know there needs to be policy created and all that. But there's this fear about using the technology or even talking about it. And I'm gonna tell you what my biggest issue is. I remember very clearly, I know I'm looking on just called just a minute. When the argument was being held about calculators. Anybody remember that?
Yeah.
Is it cheating? Should we let the kids use calculators? Now I spend $5,000 a year buying new calculators because it's mandatory for state exams. I remember the internet. When I got here 20 years ago, everything was blocked. Remember when the kids were using proxies to get around it? Now kids are like, they don't know what proxies are, but back then they figured a way around it. Okay, they remember crypto. How many of you guys are like, damn, I should have thought something from Bitcoin? Again, we keep passing these things because you don't understand it. But right now, this thing, AI, has been around since the 50s. It's not new. It's just that now it's being harnessed and it's being made accessible to all of us. My fear is this, at least in my community that I lead in, my community that I'm from, if we don't engage and lead in it, not just use it as leaders, if we don't lead in it and give people grace and access, like let's figure this out, teacher, oh wow, this lesson could be better. You didn't differentiate enough. Now let's sit down and figure out the right prompt to put this lesson in there. Let's take the kids' names out, just give them numbers and say, how to differentiate for all these kids? And now have a tool you can use to actually engage our kids properly. This is what we need to be doing, leading. I'm gonna say it one more time, I'm not an expert in AI. I'm just an addict. One last thing I want to say to you is this. Let's stop using the term 21st century skills. Problem language is complete bullshit at this point in time.
Yes.
It's not about 21st century skills anymore. It's about always becoming futurists. And trying to figure out, predict, without children involved in the conversation, what is the future going to look like? I have a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, a 6.5-year-old. I don't even ask them what you want to do when you grow up. Because it's going to pigeonhole them.
Yeah.
Because I shared that NIAC, a piece of data that said that by 2030, 85% of the jobs that will exist in 5 years don't even exist now. So think about what jobs are going to be going away. So again, leaders, I'm a group of leaders. We have to lead. I don't want to put my book, I have a book called AI Enhanced Leadership, but we have to enhance our leadership around AI. Not just as a tool that we use, but a tool that we're trying to figure out collectively, and we got to talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Uche.